People often ask what part of the patriarchy paradox caused such offence. It was a quotation from the military historian Martin von Creveld. In his view, in a world without men, the industries listed in this table would likely all but cease, with disastrous consequences for women. Civilization as we know it would probably end. And let's not forget that reproduction would also cease, so the human race would go extinct. As Camille Paglia put it, if men are obsolete, then women will soon be extinct. How likely is this claim? Didn't women do all men's heavy labour during the World Wars? Even in the Republic? Probably the most equal society ever imagined, with families abolished, newborns taken from their mothers at birth to be raised communally, and men and women running the city together. Plato still had Socrates state that lighter tasks must be assigned to women. As the 2nd century Greek physician Soranus knew, heavy labour makes women lose their periods, eventually causing infertility. In China, women were always expected to work inside or near the home. When the communists tried to make women work in the fields with men during the 1950s, the women did not see this as liberating. They did all they could to resist, as did the men. They did not want to see their wives subjected to hard labour. Because of their more complex anatomy, women are more susceptible to disease and infection. In early 20th century Japan, during the years women were allowed to work in mining, nearly 20% contracted urogenital diseases. Even today, surveys show women still see it as the man's role in the household to take the bins out. When women have been forced to do the heaviest labour, such as in Germany during World War I, productivity has dropped sharply. In the Soviet Union, land lay fallow. In China, during the Great Leap Forward, the attempt to make women do agricultural work while men produced iron in backyard furnaces led to mass starvation. Even at the peak of the war, in April 1918, the workforce was still 2/3 male. And in industries such as mining, forestry and transportation, the work was performed by men who had been released from military service precisely because women could not do their jobs. At Wigan Pier, women were merely 5.5% of the workforce. None of them worked underground. And despite the propaganda of Rosie the Riveter, men outnumbered women in metalworking 3-1. After World War II, a 1945 US poll showed that 3/4 of employed women wanted to go on working after the war, ideally without leaving their chosen fields, except for those working in war industries, where pay was about 50% higher. But why would women want to leave the best paid roles? Because they were the most dangerous. Everywhere, women were concentrated in the least dangerous industries. And this is true of civilization generally. Among the first Virginia settlers, men outnumbered women by 7-1. And as the West opened up in the 19th century, some areas had a male-to-female ratio of 10-1. Places become highly populated by women only after first being conquered by men labouring and dying to give women the comforts of civilization. What George Orwell wrote about the miners in The Road to Wigan Pier is true of male hard labour and civilization generally. All of us really owe the comparative decency of our lives to poor drudges underground, blackened to the eyes, with their throats full of coal dust, driving their shovels forward with arms and belly muscles of steel.